Might we use the words in every aspect of the gallery development? So how might we group the objects and zone the room using those words? And thought, oh, wouldn't it be brilliant? Could we have a zone of love and a zone of fear? Wouldn't that be really evocative and amazing? But very quickly realised, starting to prototype that it would be a very bad idea. So one person's object of love is another's symbol of oppression or hatred even. So we begin on the streets and we come back together with what we've discovered with volunteers, and we get a little plan of action going, and then we test it with visitors in the gallery at a sharing day, or we go back out, test it, and then we redefine it, we prototype it, and then we deliver it. So we knew that grouping the objects by emotion didn't work, but we could use the emotions differently. And we went back to the project lab where at the very beginning we had all of the photographs of the objects on the walls, and we just left a load of pencils and post-it notes to see what happened. And of course people start adding comments and questions, and we then respond to that and maybe put a provocation above the images and take it down a particular route in response to what people have been leaving. And the most commonly asked question was what is it? What is it? What is this thing? Along then with I know what this is, and sharing and maybe applying knowledge from a different area. Lots of humour came into it, creative and emotional responses came into it, but what is it? So it struck us that if we can't group the objects by emotion, could we take all the images of the objects, group them by primary purpose, what is it, what does it do, and then map them back to the words. We believe things like this, little prompts that encourage people perhaps to think in a new way, find a new point of view. So these ones in particular came from an ideation session where we had started to think about the instruments. The instruments we'd had, everything was done openly, so visitors were constantly in contact with the objects. So they were cleaning them, conserving them, getting involved in the way that they'd be presented. We had the ideation session, a pile of amazing ideas about how sound might be used, voices, how might we use voice as sound. And these words, again, we used the words that were offered at the beginning, the most commonly offered, and started to play. So through play, what does friendship sound like? What does love sound like? And might that get people thinking about relationships? And yeah, just prototyped it, put it out there, and people really liked these, so we've had them printed. We might use them to give, to send out for activities, or they might just sit in the gallery. Occasionally a tool, there's one in the process at the moment, will come out of the blue. So there was a man in here the other day with a little boy, and we couldn't work out what they were doing, but the little boy was sitting with his head in his hands, and the man would disappear and come back and pass the little boy something, and he was basically drawing something in the gallery, giving it to his son, and the little boy went and found it, and then he did another one, and it was such a simple, beautiful activity that they just made up. So that will go into the process. We've observed, we've seen something interesting, a way of people looking and experiencing and interrogating the collection. So we'll see what we can do. So they're quite tangible, they stack them up. We've seen people rapping with them, making up stories, matching them to objects. So it's about people connecting with people through the objects. Each of the masks, they are about people being able to pick something up and look and play and explore, but there's a provocation on the back to connect with another person on each one. So it might be find something out, share your knowledge with others. It might be find out how someone feels. It might be ask someone what they think, but it's all around people connecting with people to learn from each other and find another point of view or a new perspective. Interpretation in a gallery is the way that the objects are presented. If they're placed in a discordant way or carelessly, then you're going to lose a few people before you even begin to think about labels. And some of the drawers, for example, are placed and curated completely by volunteers. As the project lead, I'd always cast my eye over to make sure it was absolutely bang on perfect, because the objects deserve that and the visitors deserve that. So occasionally, we'll tweak something, and that's what I bring to the process as well from my previous career and my experience. So again, always sharing why something might need to move. It might be an intellectual reason, it might be that two things are closely placed together, and it might be that it's inappropriate they should sit together. But hopefully those conversations happen before it gets to that stage. And sometimes it's just about giving things a bit more visual breathing space. But yeah, some of the drawers, there's two in the adorn case that were totally positioned by volunteers, certainly fixed and adjusted by, installed by volunteers. In the way that the open conservation sessions happened, it is very important to me personally, to us as a team, to us as an organisation, that co-production volunteers don't just get certain types of jobs. You really are, and some people didn't want to do that. Some people wanted to have a go, wanted to learn, and some people brought a level of instinctive kind of design aesthetic with them that was really important, and it added to the mix. Interpretive hierarchy or strategy came from everyone. So I would come in and make sense of it and maybe synthesise it. So all these different ideas, how might we make that happen? Is that, as I said, a tool that people move around the gallery? We know that people didn't want loads of wall text, and we did lots of behaviour maps for the nature gallery, and that's still current enough to listen to. But we knew we had to have more text in here next to the object because it's less obvious what some of the things are. So the strategy came from all of those conversations through the process and testing and understanding where a label ignited curiosity and the desire to find out more, or whether a label squashed curiosity and we watched people walking away without looking at the object. So really non-scientific but rigorous enough action research happened around lots of different types of interpretation. Volunteers, same as the Nature Gallery, are doing pretty much all of the research, and some of those volunteers are specialists from the museum who are from the time. Rachel and I now are looking at how we take from that research, how we select then, how do we select? So if 20 people have done loads of research, it's more than 20 people, how do we say which 5 lines go into the gallery guide? Do we just choose? That didn't feel right. So you'll see some sheets of paper with loads of research on around the gallery, and we're asking people to highlight what is most interesting, significant, surprising or important. And from that we'll get an idea of the sort of things people react to. That's how we'll select. If we had more time, we'd probably put the whole lot out there in that way, but we don't, so there's a pragmatic time-based decision to test it and then make a considered opinion and decision from that test.
Yeah.
It came from, as always, outside. So we, like many museums, our audience doesn't necessarily reflect the variety of people that live in Derby. Derby has 71 different languages spoken. It's a rich, vibrant, multicultural city. Our audience doesn't reflect that. So we're really keen to make sure that we are representing people from cultural backgrounds across the world, not just the visitors that come. Notion of us co-producing with empathy, understanding what it feels like to come to a place where you really don't feel you're welcome, and it's the tiny things like that that are saying very loudly. All the food in the cafe was kind of the same sort of food, so of course the same kind of people are eating. So that's why we were really keen on that evening, knowing that the sharing days had attracted a really great range of people. If this amazing range of people come together for the sharing, the launch, we need to make sure that we're providing a great range of foods. So yeah, that's why it's incredibly important, and we know that from what people are saying to us. And it was really successful, so we'd like to do that again. We'd like that to change the way maybe the cafe purchases food, and we certainly, for the major launch, want to link with local cafes that serve food from around the world. Yeah. It's a really brilliant way of, when the gallery's finished, so we talk about how do we keep an element of unfinishedness, a rawness, and there's lots of really great comments being left about the gallery, so there's no interpretation, people are spending a long time in here, And a few people are saying keep it raw, keep it. These little post-it notes, these to-do notes that are around the gallery, people feel that they've been given agency or permission to keep adding. So how do we keep that going, and how do we, when it's all finished, how do we show people that's what it was like? And the video is a really good way of doing that. It's tiny moments. So putting that big case lid on as an example, that was one of a squillion tiny moments, and that's the one that we talked about because it's captured on film. We remember it, and there are lots of other little bits like that where somebody says something or does something that ignites a sequence of behaviours that are really special. And when we articulate what co-production is about, these people and ideas and thoughts and opinions coming together, and you get something far more nuanced and rich than you would with the same people coming together. It moves so quickly, it's such a fast, iterative process, it's impossible to remember it all.